Hi, my name is Marco van Wieren and I'm the developer of the WPO365 plugins for WordPress. Plugins that help you connect the Microsoft Cloud with your WordPress website. Whether it is for single sign-on, to enable your users in your Entra ID to sign into your WordPress website, or whether you want to send emails from a Microsoft 365 mailbox, synchronize users, or dynamically assign roles in WordPress based on a user's Entra ID group memberships, or whether you want to embed content in SharePoint or Power BI. Whatever your use case is, there's a good chance that you can successfully implement it using the WPO365 plugins. And in today's video, I would like to show you how you can synchronize users by integrating with the Entra ID application provisioning service. So let's get started. For the basic provisioning of users, all I need is the free version of the WPO365 plugin, the login plugin. I've already installed that and I will continue to the configuration. And here I can click the menu and continue to the user sync configuration page. And here you can see that I have an option to enable the integration with the user provisioning, with the SCIM based user provisioning, and integrate with Entra ID's application provisioning service. So I simply click to enable that feature from the side of the plugin. And my next step is to continue to Microsoft.com, to the Entra portal. And here from the Entra ID menu, I will select Enterprise Apps. To configure the integration with the Entra ID application provisioning service, I would need to register a new enterprise application. And I click New Application. Continue to create your own application. And here I want to integrate any other application that I don't find in the gallery. So I'm required to enter a name. So let's say video demo SCIM. And let's click to create the application. The application has been created. And what I can see is that here I have a menu under Manage. And from that menu, I can select Provisioning, which I will do. Now I can start with a new configuration for the provisioning. So let's do that. Let's click New Configuration. And here I can define the admin credentials. And I keep this to the default of bearer authentication. And now I would need to enter the tenant URL and a secret token. So let's start with the tenant URL. For this, I would need to enter the website's address. So let's select that. Let's say that is for me staging for WPO365connect.com. And let's enter that. And then I need to add WP-JSON because we need to connect, or basically Entra ID needs to connect to our REST API. So WP-JSON, WPO365 version 1, and that's it. Basically with a trailing / at the end. Next thing is that I would need to enter a secret token. So to generate a secret token, I quickly return to my configuration page. And here I can have WPO365 generate such a token for me. And I copy that token to the clipboard and return to my Entra portal and paste the token. And that's already sufficient. So I could now simply continue and click to test the connection. I can see that the connection has been tested successfully. Please make sure that you have configured permalinks. If you would go to your settings on your site and to the permalinks, and if you leave the permalinks to the default plain permalink structure, then your REST API won't work as expected. So make sure that you customize it by selecting maybe one of the options below, or your own custom structure. So let's one more time return to Entra portal. We've tested the connection, and next step is that I would need to create the rest of the configuration. So let's click create. My provisioning configuration has been created, but I'm not yet ready to start the provisioning. There are a couple of more things that I would need to do. Let's first have a look at the attribute mapping. And here I would need to, first of all, disable the mapping of groups. So I would simply click enable no, and I save the updated configuration. Now let's continue with updating the attribute mapping for user. So I leave that enabled, and I can see that the target object actions to support are to create users in the downstream application, which is our WordPress website, update and delete those users. Now we can leave that as it is, but keep in mind that the free version of WPO365 login will only support the creation of users. If you wish to also support the update of users and deletion of users, then you need a premium update, a premium plugin, but I'll come to that back in a little bit. So let's then have a look at all the existing attribute mapping, the mappings that exist by default. And there are way too many mappings, and leaving all those mappings in would basically also trigger the application in Entra ID to try and update the users by setting these values. But since we don't add mappings for those values in our application, basically the downstream application is not able to completely save the object, and we will get errors, or Entra ID will try and keep updating our users, and we don't want that. So let's get rid of most of those attributes, like the preferred language. Emails, of course, we like to keep. The job title I remove for the moment. In a little bit I will re-add it when I've added the premium feature. The display name is okay. And here the address I can remove. I can remove the street address, the city, the state, the postal code, the country, the telephone number, the mobile, the VEX. Is anybody using that still? The mail nickname we need to leave in, because this is the ID that WPO365 will use to identify the user back to Entra, so we leave that in. I remove the employee ID, the department, and the manager. So we have just a basic list now for email and name details, we can say, and whether the user is still active. We leave in the user principal name, so I'm quite happy with this for the moment. So let's save that. And then there is still one more thing that we need to do, because WPO365 would like to receive the user's object ID, the object ID that the user has in Entra ID, because it's kind of the immutable and identifier of a user in Entra. And it can also help when the user later signs in with their Microsoft account into your WordPress website, for example. So it's kind of the unique identifier, and a lot of logic in WPO365 is centered around this object ID. And we need for that to add a new mapping. And to do that, we need to show the advanced options, and we need to edit the attribute list first, because we want to add our own custom property. I scroll all the way to the end, and then I quickly switch to tutorials.wpo365, because here you can look up the tutorial to configure the integration with the Entra ID application provisioning service. And when you do, you scroll down to the section on the mandatory user attribute mappings, you will see that there is a user attribute that we must add, and the target attribute name for that is, so let's select that. Let's copy that, and let's take that value back to our attribute list in Entra. Let's leave that as a string, that's fine. So now we add a new attribute with a custom name for object ID. And we save that new property in the attribute list. And now we return to our attribute mappings. And we can add a new mapping, a direct mapping. And as a source attribute, we take our the object ID. It's moving so quickly that's very hard to select. As you can see, there is the object ID. Default value we leave as it is, and then the target attribute where it should map to, and there we take our new custom property, which not yet appears in the list. So I will try and refresh this page one more time. Reload the site. Yes, that's fine. And I will try and repeat what I just did. I create a new mapping for the object ID. There it is. And let's see what we can now find our custom property. There it is. Here. Sometimes a refresh is necessary. So we map object ID to our custom attribute. Happy with this. Always apply the mapping and I select OK. So this is the updated attribute mapping list, and I save my attribute mapping. And basically at this point in time, I'm ready to test this configuration. I have returned to the overview page of my enterprise applications provisioning feature. And here I have an option to provision on demand. So let's try that. Here I could select a user that I wish to synchronize to my website. Let's first have a quick look at that website and look at the existing users. And as you can see, there's currently only one user, which is my user, my WordPress user account that I'm logged in with as well. So let's return to Entra and let's try and select the user. I would take the John demo and I would now click to provision the user, and let's see what happens. The user is basically not synchronized. There's a skip reason. It's not effectively entitled. And basically what it means is that this object, the user, has not been assigned to the application. So there's something missing still. Let's close this and let's have a look. And here I can see there is a users and groups page. So let's go here and let's add a user, or let's add a group actually. Let's say that none are selected, but I would like to change that. And I would like to add demo. So I'd like to add John and Alan, and I select both and I assign them to the application. Let's now return to the provision on demand feature and select a user. Again, let's select demo, John demo. And let's again try and provision that user and click provision. Now it looks much better, and I can see that modified attributes successfully are the following attributes that have been synchronized for this specific user that was created in the downstream application, which is our WordPress website. So let's have a quick look whether that's correct. And I return to the website and I refresh the user list. And here I can see that the user, John Demo, has been created, including with an email address and a username that equals the user's email address. So provisioning is working, as I've been able to demonstrate, based on the provision by demand or on demand feature. Now I can return to Entra and I can close this screen and I can basically return to the overview of the provisioning feature and I can click to start provisioning. Am I sure that I want to do that? Yes, I am. And now it's starting, and Microsoft would request some feedback. Let's do that later. Provisioning has started, and as you can see that the initial cycle has not yet run, but it will run around every 40 minutes. So every 40 minutes, Entra ID will check whether any property attribute of the assigned users to the application has changed and inform the downstream application, our WordPress website, about that change. And that also includes users who become in scope, because you've added them to the list of users that are assigned to the application. But it also includes when you remove them, users who move out of scope. That's basically a deletion, and as I said before as well, and the same is true for updating users in the downstream application in our WordPress website, that is not supported by the free version of the plugin. I have installed the WPO365 Integrate plugin, which is a premium plugin and which allows me to unlock some of the premium features when it comes to integrating with Microsoft Entra ID's application provisioning service. You can obtain a copy of this plugin from our website when you go to WPO365.com, and if you click plugins, there are the most popular ones. There you see the Integrate package, and you can read all about the features. And important for this tutorial, I would say, is that it allows me to also update existing users and soft delete users. But the Integrate package also allows me to show some of these user attributes on a user profile in WordPress, and which is the reason why I take the Integrate package. If you don't need that, there is an other add-on that is only unlocking the premium SCIM features to also be able to update users or delete users in WordPress. And that's a separate package and smaller in size, of course. Let's return to my WordPress website where I'm logged in as an administrator and continue to the configuration of the WPO365 plugin of the user sync feature on the corresponding configuration page. And what I can see here is that I have additional options. I can also select that I want to delete users or have them only soft deleted. And if I check that option, then users, when they are deleted in Entra ID, will not be deleted from your WordPress website, but instead their roles will be removed. And if they try and sign in to the website, access will be blocked. They're kind of deactivated. So I leave that as it is, and I'm happy with that. And I scroll down and save the updated configuration. At the bottom of the same page, I find a section for custom user fields. And here I can create mappings to save claims or user attributes when they are received from an external system or when a user logs in. So I could here select that from SCIM, I would expect, for example, the user's job title. For that, I would need to know the name of the attribute that is sent to our website by the Entra ID application provisioning service. So let's have a look. Let's switch to Entra. Let's look at the attribute mapping. Let's look at the attribute mapping for users. And actually, let's add a new mapping. A direct mapping for the user's job title. There is job title. Let's add that. And let's map that. I believe there must be an existing property for that. There it is, title. So I select that. I want this mapping to be applied always. And I say, OK. And I'll save my updated attribute mapping. So let's quickly return to WordPress and say that in SCIM, in SCIM, this claim or this attribute will be received as title. I would like to store that in the user meta table of my WordPress website, and I will call it MS job title, for example. So that means that when this value is received from Entra ID, then WPO365 will save this in the user's meta table using the meta key MS job title, as you see it here. And if this should be shown on a user's profile, I can add a custom title. So say we call this job title, and I will click to add this configuration. I actually also, at the same time, enable a feature to show the Entra ID user attributes on a WordPress user's profile. And I will scroll down and save this configuration. With this configuration in place, I would return to Entra ID, to the provisioning page, and here from the overview page I would again return to provision on demand. And now I would like to provision the user John Demo again, and I click to start that provision on demand. And now I can see that the user's title, the title property, has been updated successfully in the downstream application with a value of test driver. So, has that been saved correctly in WordPress? Let's return to WordPress. Let's look up the user, John Demo, and let's click to edit the user. And if I scroll down, I can see that there is a new section on the user's profile page for Microsoft 365 profile information, and there's a job title and with the value test driver. So that has been successfully updated by Entra ID, by the provisioning service. So I hope you've been able to successfully integrate your WordPress website with Entra ID's application provisioning service. If not, or if you have any questions, then please don't hesitate and click the question mark that you see here at the bottom of the screen. This will take you to our contact form, and you can contact us 24 hours a day and await our reply. Make sure to describe your issue as good as possible, or maybe include a screenshot, so it's easier for us to understand the issue that you seek help with. Last but not least, make sure to visit our website at WPO365.com and have a look at all the exciting features that help you integrate the Microsoft Cloud in your WordPress website. Whether you would like to enable your users to sign in with their Entra ID account into your WordPress website, or send WordPress emails from a Microsoft 365 mailbox, synchronize users, as we did in today's video, or whether you like to restrict access to your website, or dynamically assign WordPress roles based on a user's Entra ID group membership, or maybe you want to integrate SharePoint or Power BI content into your WordPress website. Whatever your use case, we'll probably have a solution for it. So make sure to visit that website. And last but not least, also make sure to visit our page in the WordPress plugins directory and leave a review. It's a small effort, but it's muchly appreciated, and it's great for others to read about your experiences. Thank you.